An element of the roles has been both technical and also supporting roles, including interviewing business analysis and project management candidates. In addition, Amanda is a first generation Canadian, having moved from the UK. So she's also an immigrant almost 10 years ago. And she also has a personal experience of being new to the Canadian market. So it's good to have Amanda speak to us. She knows what we've been through, and kind of excited to hear our wisdom and also the nuggets that she has to share with us. She'll be talking about how to ace your interviews, tips that she has gotten from my experience. And I just want us to listen, and I know we'll learn a lot. Thank you so much, everyone. And Amanda, over to you.
Thanks, Harry. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen, and then we can go from there. Okay, so you should be seeing my actual screen, my screen.
Yes,
shot?
we can. Yes.
Oh. Okay, so I want to go through a few things today. It is quite a broad topic, and there's lots of things I want to actually go through. So I'm going to go through it quite quickly. So as we go, so I want to cover why we interview, some of the preparation you can do to make sure your interview is a success, research that will really help you out, what to do on the day of the interview, if you're asked to do a presentation, interview questions, the types of questions you will be seeing. And this is for a broad spectrum of roles, and then follow up, and I'll summarize at the end. So why do we interview? The main reason we interview is because we're trying to see, as a hiring manager, if you're going to be a good fit for the organization. We do not take interviewing lightly as hiring managers because they are time consuming. There's a lot to them. So we really are trying to see, can you take your experience, your knowledge, your skills, and apply it to the role that we're looking for? We want you, when you're answering questions, to be specific, thoughtful, and answer with examples. We're really trying to get a sense of your overall work experience in your history. And a key part of this is we want to know your specific contributions to projects and work. So as an interviewer, we don't want to hear you say necessarily, my team was involved with a training program. We want to hear, I did this as part of a team project training. I arranged the training sessions. I arranged the room. I created the presentation deck. I did the FAQs. Really kind of lean into that experience as specific what you did on the project. And that really helps us get a sense of what you were responsible for. And it helps us know your experience and get a really good sense of what you have done. So starting for preparation, and this fits into what Ola was saying about preparation of resume, make sure you know what your education equivalent is to Canadian universities, because a lot of the education systems are different. For example, I did my education in the UK. We actually do 3-year bachelor degrees, which are equivalent to a 4-year Canadian. So it's just knowing that. And also look at your work experience. Titles are not always the same across the board. I've worked in roles that are not actually being titled a business analyst, but are business analysts. I've worked as record system manager. At the end of the day, they're all requirements gathering, managing stakeholders, managing projects. So really get a sense of how your individual experience sits with the roles. And I can't stress this enough, have a look at the postings, especially the qualifications and duties. How does your experience fit in with those duties? Because those are what the interview is going to be based about. An average interview, we have between 45 minutes and 60 minutes to really assess. So we're going to be focusing in on the types of experience that the roles are going to be completing. So what I think really helps, and this helped me a lot, was to look at each of my work history and pull out specific examples. So pull out that, okay, so I was involved in a training program. What did I do specifically? And that lends back to the, what is your part? Pull out examples. So you have a range of examples. So if, say, in an interview, you were asked about training, you could have a couple of examples ready to go based on your experience. So in terms of research, one of the things is we really, as an interviewer, we want to know why you want the job. Like, there might be a lot of different business analysts or project managers or technical jobs out on the market, but why are you interested in our role? What makes you think you're a good fit, and why do you want to come work for us? It's very clear if you're interviewing a candidate that has a really good sense of why they want to work there, and not necessarily just it's a BA job. No, I want to be a BA job because I'm interested in XYZ of your company, especially if it's maybe a project position or contract work, or they mention some specific projects or initiatives that you'll be working on. If you can research and have a good foundation of what that may entail, that will help you in the interview, because you can get a sense of what sort of projects they're going to be asking about and what sort of technical questions you may face. And also, if you have a background knowledge, that's going to sit really well in terms of having researched, and you have a little bit more awareness of the organization. So strategic plans, commonly available on the website of the company you're applying for, and website content, really good idea, because they're forward-facing content of what organizations are actually presenting to the public. So they're a good starting point. So the day of the interview, if you are in an in-person interview, which is starting up again, know where it is, do a trial journey, not on the day, but don't actually turn up too far in advance. Often the interview slots are booked for a specific time, and the interviewers are not going to be available before that time. So whereas definitely don't be late, you don't need to turn up half an hour beforehand, because they're likely not to be able to start the interview until your allotted slot. So turn up early, but not too early. If it's a remote interview, be familiar with the tool that is going to be used: Zoom, Skype, Google Meets. The library has free access to LinkedIn Learning with a library card, which is a fantastic resource that has overviews of some of these tools. Or try it out, download the tool, chat with a friend over the tool, make sure you're comfortable with where everything is. Dress smartly, professionally. It never hurts, even if it's going to be in a position that is going to wear sweatpants and jeans all day. It never hurts to look too professional. And relax, try and be nervous. Interviews are nerve-wracking for everyone, so the interviewers also are feeling nervous too. So just gonna go from there. So if you're asked to do a presentation in advance, now I'm seeing these a lot more. I don't think I've actually been in an interview in Canada where I haven't seen a presentation element used. So if you're asked to do a presentation, really focus in and review the question that's being asked. Do not take a chance to tell me everything about your entire life history. We want to know the specific answers to the question that's being asked. And it could be on a variety of things. But structure it as you would do a work meeting, agenda, content summary, practice beforehand. Use key examples, key concepts. Really try and get a sense of why you would be able to answer the question that's asked. Often it's very personal. It could go over two ways. It's either tell us why you're a good fit or something along that lines, or I've also had experience of the ones with it are more job specific, like tell me the future of information management, and where you've had to come up with like future challenges, and you can really take them in a lot of different ways, but keep to time and practice. So interview questions are really going to be divided into, as far as I can tell, three main parts, and this is regardless of the role you're going through, whether it's a BA or not, and this has been my experience for all the interviews we've had. So first up will be general, well, not necessarily first, the order may be mixed up, but you're going to have a category that's general topics. So icebreakers kind of get to the information of why are you a good fit? Why are you interested? Why should we hire you? Those general, what makes you think you're a good fit for the organization? What are you going to bring kind of through? Next up is communications. Communication skill, teamwork, diversity, increased importance across all Canadian workplaces. So it is more than likely that you're probably going to have some questions around teamwork, listening skills, collaboration, and good communication. So it's really, how do you function as part of a team? You know, are you a good team member? How do you approach difficult conversations? How do you deal with conflict? Really getting a sense of how you work in a modern Canadian workplace. And then you're likely to face some questions about diversity and inclusivity. And it's not just enough to say, I'm from a diverse background, or I am not a native Canadian, I'm an immigrant. We want to understand how it impacts your professional work, like all voices are heard, perspectives are all considered, everyone's voice is good, decisions free from bias. So really how it impacts your work. And then for more technical and role specific, these are really going to be based on those qualification questions. So rolling questions, so things like requirements analysis, stakeholder management, do you have experience of coding? Have you used the system? All those kind of questions. They're going to be linked to the job posting. Because we don't have that much time in an interview, we have to really focus on what questions are going to be asked. And more, you also have to ask the same questions for every candidate, because that's what you're basing your decision on, is the answers to those questions. So this is really where a lot of the experience and the examples of what you've done as previous experience is really going to come into play to give the interviewers a sense of your work experience and how you can take that knowledge of something similar and apply it to the role. And it may be that it may not be the same field, but it could be the same type of role. So that's something, it doesn't necessarily, if it's not the same industry, you can still use the transferable skills. It's all the same technical skills. And not all examples have to be a success. Not all projects are successful, but if you can turn around and say, actually, we ended up cancelling this project because of X, Y, Z reasons. As long as you can articulate what it was, it doesn't have to be a success. Although it's good if you can have positive examples too. So what I have is a couple of slides now with some example questions. So I'm not going to read them out because there's a lot there, but basically if I was asked the question of, do I have experience of training? If somebody answers, yes, I do, as an interviewer, that kind of leaves me with all sorts of questions. I don't really get a sense of what they've done. The second question goes a bit further. It's like, oh, so they've done a range of things. They have tailoring. I get a better sense of what's kind of going on. Don't really get a sense from that answer. It's a good answer, but I don't get a sense that they've actually done that work before. Whereas the third answer takes that answer and then adds to it and says, oh yeah, I have got this experience. I did this and it was successful. Really gets a sense of, oh, so they have done this type of work before. And then I have the same with like a systems overview of, do you have using this system? No, okay, that's fair enough. That doesn't give me anything. You're honest, which you always have to be honest, but then you can take that and go, well, no, but I can learn new systems. So you're showing that you have adaptability and that you have a better way forward. Or you can take that a step further and say, no, but I have used something similar and I can use that to help springboard me into the next step. And then closing and follow up, you will likely be asked about Canadian immigration status. It's something that everyone has to check regardless of status or not. There'll be a chance to ask questions. It's your chance to ask any clarifying questions. If there's anything you want to know about the role, always end on a positive note, summarize and say, thank you very much for your time. I'm really still interested in the role. Everything I've heard is great. And then follow it up with an email as well. And then to summary. So some tips are, be prepared, understand how your education skills and experience can benefit the role. Be truthful, answer questions asked, share your experience and the work you have personally done on projects and experience, And it doesn't all have to be relevant. If you want to pull in non-professional experience to help answer, especially some of the communication and the community involvement kind of work, those work great too. It doesn't always have to be that professional, and use specific example of past experience and always be positive. That's the one thing that will really shine and stand out in an interview. So I am aware that that was an incredibly quick run through. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you.